Please be seated. Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Task Force Spartan Transfer of Authority Ceremony between the 28th and 34th Infantry Divisions. Today's ceremony is hosted by Lieutenant General Michael X. Garrett, Commander of the United States Army Central. At this time, we would like to begin by recognizing some senior strategic partners and allies that have significantly enabled the success of Operation Spartan Shield. The Honorable Lawrence Silverman, United States Ambassador to the state of Kuwait. From our host nation, we'd like to recognize Lieutenant General Mohammed Al-Qadr, Chief of Defense, Kuwait Ministry of Defense. Staff Major General Sheikh Khalid Al-Sabah, Commander, Kuwaiti Land Forces. And Sheikh Murat Al-Sabah, CEO, Osla General Trading Company. We'd also like to recognize all the general officers, commanders, command sergeants major, civilians, and community leaders from our partner nations and U.S. forces in attendance today. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedules and traveling to be here. Please join me in a round of applause in welcoming our senior leaders to today's ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the official party, rendering of honor, the national anthem of Kuwait, the national anthem of the United States, and remain standing for the invocation. The official party for today's ceremony is Lieutenant General Michael X. Garrett, Commander of United States Army Central Command, Major General Andrew P. Schaefer, Jr., Commander of the 28th Infantry Division, Command Sergeant Major John E. Jones, Command Sergeant Major of the 28th Infantry Division, Major General Benjamin J. Corell, Commander of the 34th Infantry Division. Command Sergeant Major Joseph J. Jelmstead, Command Sergeant Major of the 34th Infantry Division, and Colonel Simon L. Schaefer, Chief of Staff of the 34th Infantry Division. The invocation will be given by Chaplain Peter Lawson, Division Chaplain for the 28th Infantry Division.
Let us pray. We give thanks to you, our God, for you are good. Your steadfast faithfulness endures forever. We acknowledge today that you are a God of beginnings and endings. At this crossroad of change, the Iron Division of Pennsylvania relinquishes its authority to the Red Bulls of Minnesota. And to the soldiers of the 28th ID, we thank them for their selfless service, their personal sacrifices, and their unwavering commitment to the duties placed upon them, and that they were faithful in what was entrusted to them. To the 34th ID, we pray the conference of your grace for the responsibilities which are now going to be incumbent on them, that you be a discerning influence, that you be a strengthening presence, and that your Spirit guide their decisions and motivate their actions. Avail yourself to us in our respective ways ahead, and in the future roads that we will walk. May we all be strong and courageous, for you are with us wherever we go. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The transfer of authority ceremony is a military tradition that represents the peaceful transfer of authority and responsibility from one command to another in order to maintain continuity on the battlefield. Every command in the Army is represented by a distinctive flag known as colors. The casing and uncasing of colors during the ceremony derives from military tradition originated centuries ago, so soldiers on the battlefield could recognize and follow their unit's color into battle. Today, the 28th Infantry Division Commanding General and Command Sergeant Major will case their colors to signify the successful completion of their command of Task Force Spartan. The 34th Infantry Division Commanding General and Command Sergeant Major will uncase their colors to symbolize the assumption of command for Task Force Spartan and the continuation of Operation Spartan Shield.
Division, up, hands, move!
The 28th Infantry Division and the Pennsylvania National Guard trace their lineage back to the militia organized by Benjamin Franklin in 1747, known as the Associators. Formally established on March 12, 1879, the 28th is the oldest continuously serving division in the Army. Soldiers of the division have served in every major conflict in American history, to include the Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, and the Korean War. The soldiers of the 28th have continued to make history since September 11, 2001. The division has conducted operations in places including Bosnia, Kosovo, the Sinai, Kuwait, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Many 28 soldiers have made the ultimate sacrifice, and hundreds have been recognized for their dedicated service and valor. The 28th continues to build on its legacy as the Iron Division, and the Iron Warriors take pride in being fit, resilient, and well-trained in order to support each other and defend our great nation. The 34th Infantry Division was created from National Guard troops of Minnesota, Iowa, the Dakotas, and Nebraska in late summer 1917, 4 months after the United States entered World War I. The division was again called upon to serve in Europe during World War II, which is when it became known as the Red Bull Division. The 34th was the first U.S. division in Europe and the first to fire artillery against the Germans. The U.S. Army Rangers were formed largely from Red Bulls at this time, and their commander was a Red Bull. During the Cold War, the 34th colors were cased and were eventually brought back into service in 1991. Since 9/11, the 34th Infantry Division has served in most major conflicts, including numerous combat deployments and humanitarian missions to Afghanistan, Bosnia, Egypt, Honduras, and Iraq. Units of the 34th Infantry Division have also served their hometown communities for 100 years in cases of fire, flood, search, and rescue.
Parade. Rush. Face.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander of United States Army Central, Lieutenant General Michael X. Garrett.
You know, it is taking every bit of restraint that I have. You know, I walked in here, and the first thing I saw was a stretcher. And all I want to do is put somebody in it, right? But we are not going to do a whole bunch of push-ups this morning. Those of you that know me know that I'm not kidding. Those of you that don't are kind of asking yourself, what the hell did he just say? Suffice it to say that this uniform, United States Army, and being exquisitely fit, all run in the same sentence. It is a wonderful opportunity for me to be here today, and I'm here with my Ranger buddy, Sergeant Major Cornelison. As I look around, I see my very, very dear friend, General Al-Sabah, the commander of the Kuwaiti Land Forces, and as I said before, a very, very dear friend. We've got the senior defense official from Saudi Arabia here. We've got other general officers, actually a commodore from Saudi Arabia, and other general officers here with us. What's important about our relationships and what's important about the presence of especially the folks from Saudi Arabia. It has taken almost 3 years for our partners to recognize what we all know, and that is the power and the importance of our division headquarters. And they all recognize now that they have a very unique opportunity to engage with and to spend time with an Army division headquarters. And so I appreciate you coming here. So today, we recognize the contributions of the 28th Infantry Division, the Iron Division, of the Pennsylvania Army National Guard, as they relinquish command of Operation Spartan Shield to the Red Bulls, the 34th Infantry Division in Minnesota. Again, I want to thank all of our hosts who are here. You know, these are very interesting and unique times. And the United States has no greater friendship in the Middle East than the people of Kuwait, who have enabled us to defend our interests in this region by partnering with us for nearly 3 decades. The U.S.-Kuwaiti partnership is of vital strategic importance, and although not here, I know that Ambassador Silverman and General Botel both join me in acknowledging the importance of this enduring friendship. I also want to thank all the folks who traveled here to Arifjan. You know, this is my 40th trip to the region since taking command of U.S. Army Central in November of 2015. Believe me, I understand the challenge of transatlantic travel, and I recognize the time that you've taken and the effort that you put forth to be here with us. Our most important achievement in the last 3 years has been the refocus of our headquarters from Iraq and Syria to our much wider theater Army mission. When I assumed command in November of 2015, we had just relinquished our command and our mission as the CJTFOIR headquarters. And in the months and years that followed, the team had to institute new processes and formulate a new approach in order to widen our aperture. while continuing to support OIR and the other 3 named operations which we are charged with leading and supporting. And I am proud to say that the RCENT team was up to the challenge. We've also had to do this during a period of organizational downsizing, and we could not have accomplished what we have without the establishment and the continued support of Task Force Spartan. This essential mission command headquarters replaced our operational command post to provide tactical command and control of the Spartan Shield Brigades represented on the floor today. The 28th Infantry Division, led by Major General Andy Schaefer and Command Sergeant Major Jones, is the 3rd National Guard Division to serve in this capacity. Like the preceding units who have completed this mission, the Iron Division has been value-added in every way, making a lasting difference with our host nation, the Kuwaitis, and with our other partner nations in this important region. General Schaefer's team attained previously unequaled levels of readiness within the brigades of the task force and within the headquarters itself. Under his leadership, Task Force Spartan, with the 1st Theater Sustainment Command, to receive and employ the 155th Armored Brigade Combat Team of the Mississippi National Guard, the 1st National Guard Brigade Combat Team to serve in Operation Spartan Shield. Of note, this brigade drew its equipment from our Army pre-position stocks, the first to do so in recent memory. And during this process, valuable work was accomplished to develop the Trans-Arabian Network, mitigating obstacles to the flow of equipment into theater should contingency necessitate the deployment of additional forces. These efforts are tremendously important to Central Command and Army Central because we now better understand what the processes entailed and the timelines involved are in moving and issuing this equipment. These efforts benefit the Army because they preserved readiness within the U.S. Forces Command, United States Army Forces Command, and will enable U.S. Army Materiel Command to project operational readiness costs to maintain and reset this equipment. And by the way, this was just one of 27 unit transitions managed by this team of professionals during the last 9 months. In addition to your work on the readiness of our forces, Task Force Spartan also managed the risk inherent in the Theater Army's support of Operation Inherent Resolve and Operation Freedom Sentinel. By anticipating requirements for combat forces and enablers, this very capable team provided rapid responses to every request for theater coordinated assistance. While this had the effect of placing those forces closer to the fight, they were prepared to achieve their mission safely and effectively. And in all of this, you've set a new standard for mission accomplishment here, as well as added further luster to the 28th Infantry Division's already rich history. You once again lived up to your reputation, begun in the New Sargon and Champagne Marne during World War I, and then cemented on the beaches at Normandy and the hedgerows of St. Lo, and at the Ardennes Forest during the Battle of the Bulge. Operation Spartan Shield is only the latest in a long list of occasions when you have answered the nation's call, including KFOR in Kosovo, Operation Iraqi Freedom in Baghdad. On behalf of the Army and a grateful nation, thanks again for answering the call of duty. Farewell as you redeploy, and Godspeed as you return home. Our purpose today is twofold. We're here to recognize those of the 28th Infantry Division who will soon depart, and to acknowledge the new Task Force Spartan headquarters team, the 34th Infantry Red Bull Division, headquartered in Minnesota, with representation from across the Midwest. Unlike the 3 divisions who have served previously as Task Force Spartan, we are welcoming the Red Bulls for the first time into the 3rd Army Central fold, not welcoming them back. The 34th ID saw action initially in Pershing's Allied Expeditionary Force in World War I, setting the stage for 3rd Army's formation and the employment as the Army of Occupation in 1918. And then the 34th distinguished itself in World War II in the Italian campaign under 5th Army, commanded by General Mark Clark, becoming the 1st American division to deploy to the European theater and the 1st division to fire on a German formation. Today, led by the command team of Major General Ben Corell and Command Sergeant Major Helmstead, the 34th Infantry Division headquarters arrives having completed its train-up in outstanding fashion. They are trained and ready, and I'd like to thank the trainers of FORSCOM's 1st Army, as well as the team from the 28th ID for facilitating their preparation. Today marks the formal assumption of their new mission, the critical task of Mission Command for Operation Spartan Shield, an operation now in its 7th year. Operation Spartan Shield is U.S. Central Command's effort to deter regional aggression and malign influence. So for the 34th ID soldiers here now on the ground, welcome. You assume this mission at an extremely interesting time. The U.S. Central Command's area of responsibility is, by most estimates, just as strategically important as it is volatile. The Gulf states and the Middle East are dealing with a number of potential crisis situations. Operations continue in Afghanistan. Operations to eliminate ISIS in Iraq are in their final stages, but Syria continues to serve as center stage in an arena for renewed great power competition. The rift with Qatar threatens to redefine the identity of the Gulf Cooperation Council, and U.S. sanctions on Iraq went back into effect last week. Meanwhile, 60% of the global oil reserves and 45% of the planet's natural gas flow through the choke points here, comprising the linchpin in the global economy. The Iranian threat network continues to wield malign influence in Yemen, Syria, and Lebanon. The influx of refugees from Syria and Iraq continue to destabilize Jordan and Lebanon. The region is nothing if not interesting, and for U.S. Army Central, you are all at the tip of the spear. This complex security environment makes our readiness paramount. It gives us a new criticality to partnership, cooperation, and interoperability with regional militaries, especially those in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and other members of the GCC. I have every confidence that the Red Bull Division is ready for the challenges coming its way. You will be providing mission command for some seasoned and capable formations. Task Force Spartan includes 4 brigades of regionally aligned rotating forces that we see before us today. The Dixie Thunder, 155th Armored Brigade Combat Team of the Mississippi National Guard, led by Colonel Bob Ferguson and Command Sergeant Major John Beasley. The 65th Field Artillery Brigade, led by Colonel Adam Robinson and Command Sergeant Major Ryan Josie. The top-notch 31st Air Defense Artillery Brigade, led by Colonel Lisa Bartell and Command Sergeant Major Jerry Jacobitz. The 20th Engineer Brigade Task Force Castle, led by Colonel Pat Sullivan and Command Sergeant Major John Brennan. Please join me in a round of applause for these outstanding units represented by their colleagues. You all are all America's best, and I'm proud of each and every one of you and the job that you are doing. Task Force Spartan is a unique organization made up of active Army and National Guard units, rounded out by U.S. Army Reserve Support units. Like U.S. Army Central, of which it's a part, Task Force Spartan epitomizes a total Army effort, serving as proof positive that without our reserve component in our force structure, we would have long ago failed as an Army. It was in August of 1998 when General Dennis Schreiber, the 33rd Chief of Staff of the Army, described his concept for achieving total Army integration as one team, one fight, one future. This concept would, he wrote, merge the Army's three components into one fully integrated, seamless service. And this formation is the realization of General Reimer's vision. We remain indebted to the National Guard Bureau and the Director of the Army National Guard and the Army Reserve Command for all that they have done to continue this important mission. We continue to recommend that any decision to curtail or redo this formation be conditions-based. Before its deployment to Europe in 1917, the 34th Infantry Division cut its teeth in New Mexico. At that point, it took on its initial moniker, calling itself the Sandstorm Division. Well, Ben, after 9 months here in Kuwait, you may want to consider returning to that designation. That was a joke. So Ben and Command Sergeant Major Helmstead, to you and your team, my congratulations on a successful train-up and deployment. And today, on your assumption of command, I offer my best wishes for a safe and rewarding tour of duty. On behalf of General Botel, welcome to Central Command, and on behalf of the soldiers and officers of U.S. Army Central, welcome to the team. Third, always first. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of the 28th Infantry Division, Major General Andrew P. Schaefer, Jr.
General Garrett, distinguished visitors, general officers, fellow soldiers, and especially our allies who defend the region and bring stability to the global economy, welcome to the transfer authority between the 20th Infantry Division and the 34th Infantry Division. As the 38th Commanding General and Steward for the 20th Infantry Division, which was established in 1879, it's my honor to be here today with the officers, soldiers, friends of the 28th and 34th Infantry Division. I want to formally thank the soldiers, the color guard, the 28th, the 34th, the ASG Kuwait staff, and the leaders for making this ceremony possible today. Over the past 9 months, Task Force Spartan, along with the U.S. Army Central, has participated in dozens of exercises with our partner nations. Countless engagements were conducted with subject matter experts in such areas as logistics, aviation, gunnery, engineering, fires, air defense, maintenance, and the development of the NCO Corps, just to name a few. We worked on 3 lines of effort: prepare for unified land operations, counter malign influence by building partner capacity, and set conditions for strategic success in support of U.S. Army Central. Several firsts were achieved during our time here. They included the bilateral direction high range exercises, improved missile and radar warning systems, a Kuwait tank crew was sent to compete in the Sultan Cup in the U.S. and did extremely well. We participated in many activities, such as Every Soldier's Ambassador program, which improved relationships with our partners now and in the future. Our interactions with our allies have advanced our collective understanding and capabilities. Our international partners have grown stronger, and those relationships will continue into the future. All this while maintaining defensive regional posture, improving readiness across the force, and providing support to Operation Inherent Resolve and Operation Freedom Center. While traveling throughout the area of operation, Commander Sergeant Major Jones and I were consistently impressed by the professional and dedicated Task Force Spartan soldiers we met at every location. I am grateful for your service and support of the Task Force Spartan mission, and I know that we will continue to do an outstanding work under the 34th Infantry Division leadership. To the soldiers of 20th Division, headquarters, the R4J, and the headquarters battalion, I want to congratulate you on a job well done. Your great success in the diverse and distributed missions spanning 13 countries. You excelled at improving and advancing every staff process. Your quick reactions and detailed planning helped to support Operation Freedom Sentinel and Operation Inherent Resolve. Plans were further developed to support many future contingency operations. Many individual achievements were also made. We graduated 30 soldiers from the basic leader course, with many of them making the commandant's list. Dozens of soldiers earned the German Armed Forces Proficiency Badge, and 2 competed in the RSENT Best Warrior competition. Accomplishment was great number, but what we learned along the way was even greater. We can return home knowing you added another great chapter to the Iron Division great history. Thank you for all your service to the Commonwealth and the nation. To the incoming Red Bull Division, challenging and rewarding tasks lay ahead for you. We worked hard to lay a foundation for which you can build great things upon. For what I've seen from your preparation and your interactions over the past weeks with our staff, you are most combat ready and certainly ready for those challenging tasks ahead. I want to thank the U.S. Army Central Command for their trust, support, and guidance as we conducted such a vital and complex mission. Lastly, I will quote Ben Franklin, one of our country's founding fathers. Energy and persistence conquer all things. I salute you and thank you. Roll on, 28th, roll on, 3rd, always first.
Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of the 34th Infantry Division, Major General Benjamin J. Corell.
Never follow a speaker who's taller than you are. General officers, senior enlisted, soldiers, friends, partners, allies, it's an important day in the history of Spartan Shield mission as we gather here today to mark the transfer of authority for this important mission from one historic division to another. I thank each of you for joining us here today. On behalf of the entire Red Bull Division, I can tell you, we're fully trained, we're prepared to seamlessly step in and execute the mission requirements that the 28th Infantry Division has performed so well before us. These Red Bulls that I represent are honored to be assuming command of the Task Force Spartan and take the lead of Operation Spartan Shield. For months now, we've watched closely as the Iron Division achieved new milestones and developed creative innovations while executing Spartan Shield. Major General Schaefer, Command Sergeant Major Jones, we acknowledge the success your organization has accomplished during your time in the lead. You've raised the standard and the expectations of future division headquarters leading Task Force Spartan. Iron Division soldiers can now return home to their families, proud of their many contributions, and knowing they have made a difference working with our regional partners and doing the work that our nation has asked them to do. We pledge to continue to build on the great work you've accomplished here. As we focus on our time fulfilling the role as Task Force Spartan Division Headquarters, Major General Schaefer, I know you enjoy history. But we've touched on it a little bit today. I'm going to give you a little bit more. There is historical precedence for Red Bulls crossing paths with the Iron Division. During our nation's Civil War, the 28th Pennsylvania Volunteer Infantry fought side by side with the 1st Minnesota Volunteer Infantry in our Army of the Potomac. These soldiers from our combined history shed blood together in numerous battlefields of the Civil War, to include the Battle of Gettysburg. During World War I, 28th Infantry Division soldiers proved they were men of iron, while they gallantly fought off German attacks south of the Francis Marne River. At the same time, elements of the 34th Infantry Division serving under the 42nd Rainbow Division, while the remainder of the division prepared to enter the theater. During World War II, our divisions were called into federal service just days apart in February of 1941. In 1944, as members of the 34th Infantry Division were engaged in bitter fighting with advancing Germans in the Italian campaign, 28th Division soldiers fought in France, taking the offensive fight to well-prepared enemy positions. Each of our divisions contributed significantly to the defeat of the enemy in front of them. Red Bulls destroyed enemy forces, liberated key cities and terrain in Italy, while the Iron Division did the same in France. More recently, soldiers and units from both our divisions served honorably in Iraq and Afghanistan. We have been dedicated in the effort to support our Army and our Security Force Coalition partners while remaining focused on defeating a ruthless enemy. Today, the Iron Division and the Red Bulls stand together again in Kuwait. With partners at our side, the responsibility for this important mission, one that has been carefully and successfully managed by the 28th Infantry Division for these past 9 months, is now placed squarely on the shoulders of the 34th Red Bull Infantry Division. We are prepared for this challenge. We look forward to working closely with our subordinate units, our partners, and our friends. We have worked hard for many months to prepare ourselves for this important mission. We are ready. Red Bulls, it's time to get to work. Attack, attack, attack. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join us for the benediction presented by Chaplain Philip Bateman, Division Chaplain for the 34th Infantry Division. Remain standing for the playing of the 28th Infantry Division March, the 34th Infantry Division March, the Army Song, and the departure of the official party.
Receive the benediction. May the God of all nations and all people, in the next season for Red Bull and Iron Division soldiers, empower them as peacemakers and encourage them to lead with character and integrity. We pray that peace would prevail in our time, but until the cry of generations is answered, equip us, Lord, to halt and diminish the advance of evil, that your will would be done in the earth. Bless the families and loved ones of those gathered as the vital foundation in our ability to offer presence and partnership in this region. It's in your exalted name I pray. Amen.
Vision, attention!
We're the
join the command team at the MWR events tent across the street adjacent to the softball field. We ask that you take the exit to your